Welcome to Gurukul Live Lectures. In the special series of symbolic expression, today we have Manisha Sharma with us and we are going to talk on building an inclusive society through diversity, equity and inclusion. Now in this presentation, we will explore the concept of building an inclusive society through diversity, equity and inclusion. As societies evolve, it becomes imperative to create an environment that value and embrace the uniqueness and the differences among individuals. By promoting the diversity, equity and inclusion, we can work towards building a society that is fair, equitable and respectful of all its members. Let us start with the concept of the meaning of diversity. Diversity refers to a wide range of human differences, including but not limited to race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, disability, age, socio-economic status, and more. It recognizes that individuals have unique background, experiences, perspectives, and identities. By acknowledging and celebrating diversity, we can foster a society that appreciates and benefits from the richness of its diverse population. Let us now move on to the meaning of equity. Equity is a fundamental principle in building an inclusive society. It involves ensuring a fair treatment, access, and opportunities for all the individual regardless of their background. Equity recognizes that not everyone starts from the same place or has the same advantages. It requires addressing the historical and systemic disadvantages that certain groups may have faced and providing additional support to overcome the existing barriers. By striving for equity, we can create a society where everyone has an equal chance to succeed and thrive. Now coming on to the meaning of inclusion. Yes, we are talking about inclusion, which is about creating an environment where everyone feels valued, respected, and included. It goes beyond mere representation. It involves actively involving individuals in decision-making, process, policies, and practices. Now, in an inclusive society, diversity is not only tolerated but celebrated, and individuals are empowered to bring their whole self to the various spaces. By fostering a sense of belonging and eliminating biases and barriers, we can create a society where every individual can fully participate and contribute. Together, diversity, equity, and inclusion form the foundation for building an inclusive society. Now, throughout this, we will dwell deeper into the benefits of inclusive society, the challenges we face, the strategies for promoting diversity, equity and inclusion, and the most important roles of the government, organizations and collaborations. Let us now explore how we can collectively work towards creating a society where diversity is celebrated, equity is upheld, and inclusion is the norm. Let us see now what the diversity definition says. Diversity refers to the range of human differences encompassing various dimensions like race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, disability, age, socio-economic status, and more. It recognizes that each individual is unique and brings their own set of experiences, perspectives, and identities. Now, embracing the diversity means appreciating and valuing these differences, understanding that they contribute to the richness and the vibrancy of our society. By actively seeking diversity, we can create the opportunities for a broader range of voices, ideas, and talents to be heard and respected. Equity. Equity means that everyone gets the same care, access, and the chances. It acknowledges that everyone comes from the different places, has different benefits. Now, with more help and resources, equity makes up for the historical and the systemic disadvantages. It assumes that everyone starts out the same, so equality may not be enough on its own. Equity knows that different people needs different amount of help to do well. Now coming on to inclusion. Inclusion involves creating an environment where everyone feels valued, respected, and included. It goes beyond mere representation and involves actively involving individuals in decision-making process, policies, and practices. Now, in an inclusive society, people are not only present but also have a sense of belonging and are empowered to contribute their unique perspectives and the talents. Inclusion ensures that everyone has an equal opportunity to participate, to be heard, and have their needs and aspirations addressed. Creating a society requires breaking down the barriers, challenging the biases, and fostering a culture of respect, acceptance, and collaboration. Now, by understanding and embracing the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion, we can work towards building a society that values and celebrates the unique contributions of every individual. Now, these principles are essential for creating a fair and equitable society where everyone has an equal chance to thrive, survive, and contribute to the betterment of the whole community. Let us now talk on a very interesting subject called the benefits of an inclusive society. The first is increased creativity and innovation. And inclusive society brings together individuals from the diverse backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. Now, this diversity of thought, diversity of ideas can lead to increased creativity as well as innovation. When people with the different viewpoints collaborate and contribute their unique insights, they generate the fresh ideas and the solutions to the complex problems. And by fostering an inclusive environment, we unlock the full potential of individuals and create the conditions for groundbreaking advancements in the various fields. Next we have is enhanced productivity and performance. Inclusive societies foster belonging and psychological safety. People are more driven and engaged in work when they feel valued and respected. Now, this morale boosts the productivity as well as the performance. Now, inclusive organizations and communities, they use their various individual assets and talents to succeed. Next is your improved decision making. Diversity in decision making helps the inclusive communities, and when different people discuss and decide, more opinions are considered. Diverse viewpoints reveal the blind spots, challenge preconceptions, and improve the judgment. The equity, openness, and legitimacy are promoted via inclusive decision making. Next we have is a social cohesion and harmony. With everyone, welcome society is more peaceful. Feeling valued and fit helps you connect with others. Understand, care about, and respect between the groups reduces the social divisions and disputes in inclusive communities. Accepting differences and fostering the openness can really help people bond and achieve a particular goal. Next we have is a social justice and equity. Promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion is social justice. An inclusive society overcomes historical and systemic disadvantages of excluded groups. Equity promotes equal access to resources, rights, and opportunities. Inclusive societies promote equality and remove the barriers. And inclusive society has several benefits. People become more wiser, competent, creative. The choices are easier, people are closer, and society is fairer. Diversity, justice, and openness may produce a strong, successful, fair, and peaceful society. Now, there are some challenges to build an inclusive society. The first is unconscious biasness. There is an unconscious biasness which are called as the prejudice and the attitude that affect our choices without our even knowing it. Now, these barriers and biases can lead to unfairness, favoritism, which make it hard to accept the other people. And to get rid of unconscious biasness, we have to be aware of them, learn about them, and question and change our own views. Secondly, discrimination and the prejudice. Discrimination based on race, ethnicity, gender, sexual preference, disability, and other things is still common in many places. People are pushed to be side and left out by discrimination. To stop discrimination and the prejudice, people need to be aware, have empathy, and have the same rights and the choices. Now we will be talking on systemic barriers. These long-standing structures, laws, and the ways of doing things keep racism and inequality going. Now these problems happen in schooling, workplaces, housing, healthcare, justice, and the law. To get past structural barriers, we need to change the laws, challenge the power dynamics, and promote the fairness through inclusive practices. Next is your lack of representation. Underrepresentation of certain groups in decision making, leadership, and other fields can make it harder to have an open society. When there isn't enough room for everyone's voices, diversity can be hurt. And to solve this problem, we need to encourage diversity in the leadership and decision making and make sure that the neglected groups have a seat at the table. Next is your resistance to change. Change resistance can make it challenging to create an inclusive society. People may be hesitant to question the norms and the privileges they have or lose their advantages. So teaching, open talks, freedom to grow help people embrace the change. It means fostering a culture that values the diversity, fairness and inclusiveness and encourages the new perspectives. So we have to actually counter this. Next we talk about is the attitudinal barriers. Attitude and the biases deeply ingrained in society can be difficult to change. The prejudice based on race, ethnicity, gender, disability, sexual orientation and other factors can create the barriers to acceptance and inclusion. Now, overcoming these attitudinal barriers requires the education, awareness, campaigns and promoting empathy and understanding amongst the individual. Next is your structural barriers. Social and economic structures can perpetuate inequality and exclusion. Inequalities in access to education, healthcare, employment, housing, and other essential services can limit the opportunities for marginalized individuals and communities. Addressing these structural barriers requires the changes in the policies, resource allocation, and redistribution of power and resources to ensure the equal access and opportunities for all. Next is your discrimination and stigmatization. Discrimination and stigmatization based on the characteristics of race, ethnicity, gender, identity, sexual orientation, disability, mental health can actually isolate the individuals and prevent their full participation in the society. The efforts to combat the discrimination and stigmatization requires the legal protection, anti-discrimination policies, awareness campaigns and promoting the inclusivity in all spheres of life. Next we have is a lack of representation. Underrepresentation of marginalized groups in decision-making process, institution and media can perpetuate exclusion and hinder the development of inclusive policies and practices that address their specific needs. Increasing representation and participation of marginalized groups in the leadership roles, politics and media can help ensure their voices are heard and their perspectives are taken into account. Next is your accessibility. The physical and digital accessibility is a significant challenge for creating an inclusive society. The lack of accessible infrastructure, transportation, information and communication technologies can exclude individuals with disabilities and limit their participation in various aspects of life. Next is your intersectionality. Individuals often face multiple forms of discrimination and marginalization due to intersection of various social identities, and addressing the unique challenges faced by individuals at the intersection of multiple marginalized identity requires a complete understanding, recognition and response in order to counter the complex ways of discrimination and disadvantage intersect. Next is we have a lack of awareness and understanding. Many people may lack the awareness and understanding of experience, needs and rights of marginalized groups. So this lack of knowledge can lead to inadvertent exclusion and hinder the efforts to create an inclusive society. Next we have is a policy and the legal barriers. Existing policies, laws and regulations may inadvertently perpetuate discrimination and exclusion. Overcoming these barriers requires reviewing and revising the existing framework to ensure that they promote equality, empowerment and participation. Creating an inclusive society requires empowering the marginalized individuals and communities to actively participate in decision-making process that affect their lives. So ensuring their voices are heard and valued is very critical for achieving the genuine inclusion. Thank you very much.